Late details are emerging tonight about the lone suspect, a 25-year-old black Army veteran who lived outside of Dallas. Police searched his house today, carrying out bags of evidence. NBC's Jacob Rascone is also at the home and has more for us.
They spent nearly 3 hours inside the gunman's home. Dallas police detectives and ATF agents emerging with large bags of evidence. Inside, bomb-making materials, ballistic vests, rifles, ammunition, and a journal of combat tactics. A neighbor who didn't want to be identified telling us Micah Johnson didn't hide his arsenal. How did you know that he had a lot of guns?
He told us. I know that he was part of an army or sergeant or something. I know he's military or something.
The gunman worked as an aide for mentally challenged kids and adults. He and his mother lived together in this 2-story home for many years, neighbors say, all just 20 minutes from the ambush. Military records confirm Johnson was an Army reservist for 6 years, serving 2 tours in Afghanistan, the recipient of various military medals and ribbons. A neighbor says he would see Johnson practicing drills on obstacle courses he built in his backyard, armed with firearms, wearing his Army uniform. This man who came out of the gunman's home didn't want to answer questions. What was your reaction when you found out what happened? Tonight, Johnson's aunt telling NBC News she believes recent officer-involved shootings of black men drove him to go on this rampage. Tonight, the governor of Texas says that although investigators believe that Johnson was the lone gunman, they want to be confident there weren't any co-conspirators or anybody else who knew about the attack. That investigation is ongoing. Lester?
All right, Jacob Rascone. Thank you, Jacob.
And good evening. We begin tonight with a country in mourning and new details about the sniper responsible for killing 5 police officers in Dallas. NBC News has learned the shooter, a former soldier, may have been sent home from Afghanistan amid troubling allegations. And there are signs he showed interest in the Black Power movement. All this as memorials are growing in Dallas and as protesters take to the streets in major cities all across the country. Also today, President Obama made a powerful plea for calm. We've got all the angles covered, and we begin with NBC's Gabe Gutierrez in Dallas.
Before he would slaughter 5 officers and wound 7 others in what police say was a well-planned ambush, Micah Johnson was described as a loner. Though his Facebook page reflected interest in the Black Power movement, investigators say he'd grown upset at the Black Lives Matter group.
There appears to have been one gunman with no known links to or inspiration from any international terrorist organization.
Also tonight, new details about his time as an Army reservist. A military lawyer who says he represented Johnson tells NBC News the Army prematurely kicked Johnson out of Afghanistan after he was accused of sexual harassment by a female soldier. The lawyer said the accuser requested a protective order and that Johnson get mental help. But military sources say that despite the allegations, Johnson was not convicted of any criminal offense and received an honorable discharge from the Army in April of last year. His lawyer wasn't sure why, but said it could have happened because Johnson's service contract expired. Now investigators are piecing together Johnson's digital trail after finding bomb-making materials, ballistic vests, and a personal journal of combat tactics at the home he shared with his mother. In downtown Dallas, several city blocks remain shut down as authorities scour the crime scene where a peaceful protest turned into panic.
I heard 6 shots, like bah, 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 bah.
Damon Crenshaw credits officers with helping save his life.
They're part of the city. Nobody wants to see cops die.
Outside the police department,
it's tough anytime you lose someone. It's really tough anytime someone is taken from you unexpectedly.
A Texas-sized tribute.
We're all human here, and I think that people feel each other's pain. That's what makes you hopeful, that we can move from senselessness, absurdity, to something that has redemption and hope in it.
Late today, we learned that the Dallas Police Department had received an anonymous threat against law enforcement throughout the city and has taken precautionary measures with heightened security. Right now, there is a heavy law enforcement presence outside the police department. Kristen.
Gabe, that is disconcerting. Thank you for that report tonight.
Police here are still in the middle of a very active investigation. The police chief telling us he doesn't feel like he's exhausted every lead that they can look into. So now this is why officers are still out here. Today, much of downtown Dallas is shut down. We're told that the gunman, was killed overnight by a bomb that police detonated, all after some snipers were shooting down at the police officers here from elevated areas. One of those elevated areas just down the street from where I'm standing at a parking garage, as you can see, all the way down at the end of the street, still blocked off by police. Now, while police are still investigating this, they say there's also a possibility that someone else could be involved. And while that possibility is still out there, they do not want to release any more information than what they already have about the gunman. But here's what we know so far about the gunman. We have his name. It's Micah Johnson. He's 25 years old. We know he's from the Dallas area. Again, killed by a bomb detonated by police. He negotiated with officers before he was killed. We're also learning more about his motive. Police say he said that he was very mad at white people, said he wanted to kill white people, specifically white police officers. He said he was mad about the Black Lives Matter movement and also about all the recent police shootings around the nation involving black men. He also told officers that he was acting alone. But you may recall the police chief telling us today they have 3 other people in custody. One other person is a female. So now this is something that police are looking into. If this gunman says he's acting alone, who are these people in custody? We're hoping to learn more information about that. But right now, that's something that police are keeping close to the vest while they continue to investigate and again follow every lead in this case.
The cop killer in Dallas was no novice, the police chief said today. Micah Johnson knew what he was doing.
This person obviously had some delusion. This person also was very committed to killing officers.
Now investigators are combing through 170 hours of body cam footage, 300 witness interviews, and Johnson's personal arsenal to piece together what drove the 25-year-old to massacre 5 officers and wound 9 others. He was killed by a bomb delivered by a robot like this one.
This wasn't an ethical dilemma for me. I'd do it again.
Still a mystery why Johnson scrawled the letters RB in his own blood on the walls before he died.
How is it possible that no one in his family may have known that he was stockpiling weapons and ammunition and ballistic vests in his home?
You sound like a cop. That's my question.
Investigators have questioned Johnson's mother. In her first interview with The Blaze, Delphine Johnson said she watched her son transform from a fun-loving extrovert into a hermit after his military service.
He was very disappointed, very disappointed.
Johnson was sent home from Afghanistan in 2014 after he was accused of sexual harassment by a female soldier. His father is grief-stricken as he tries to understand what drove his son to violence.
I didn't see it coming.
Talk about Micah, honey. He was a good son. He was a good son.
I love my son with all my heart. I hate what he did.
On social media, Johnson showed an interest in the Black Power movement, but authorities so far have not confirmed formal ties to any organization. Tonight, Dallas is still on edge.
To be quite honest, I'm running on fumes.
A candid Chief Brown calling for changes to the demands on the nation's overwhelmed police officers.
We're asking cops to do too much in this country.
And for ER Dr. Brian Williams at Parkland Memorial Hospital, where 7 officers were rushed, the loss hits home.
And I think about it every day, that I was unable to save those cops when they came here that night. It weighs on my mind constantly. This killing, it has to stop.
Good evening. Tonight, police say the shots that turned the streets behind me into a killing zone, taking the lives of 5 police officers, wounding 7 others, and 2 civilians, came from one man operating alone with a grudge against police and white people. Tonight, the nation shares Dallas's anxiety and shock over how a peaceful protest over police shootings of black men in Louisiana and Minnesota turned into an ambush of police officers here in Texas. As marchers ran in fear from the shots, police took cover and desperately tried to neutralize the attacker. Tonight, we've learned the killer is a black Army veteran of the war in Afghanistan. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez has details.
The ambush was well planned, well thought out, and evil, police say. Hundreds of protesters caught in the crossfire. while officers were targeted in cold blood.
It was every car. I didn't see anybody else get shot. It was just the cops.
Tonight, the gunman is identified as 25-year-old Micah Johnson. Law enforcement sources tell NBC News Johnson was wearing body armor during the shooting. An NBC station KXAS reports he was laughing and singing during his hours-long standoff with police.
The suspect said he was upset at white people. The suspect stated he wanted to kill white people, especially white officers.
The march began just after 7, following this week's high-profile police shootings in Louisiana and Minnesota. Starting in Belo Garden Park near Main Street, the first hour largely peaceful. Officers along the route not wearing riot gear, even posing for pictures with participants. But just before 9, chaos, cops ducking for cover, a barrage of gunfire.
Shots fired, officer down, it's an assist officer.
Panic in downtown Dallas.
We just started to run and grab kids and help their mothers get to somewhere safe because we didn't want anyone else to get hurt.
Community activist Jeff Hood had organized the protest.
We walked out of maybe 25 feet, and that's when I heard it. Pa, 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 pa. And that's when I looked up. I saw what I believe were 2 police officers drop.
At 9:41, police clear out the Bank of America building, the city's tallest skyscraper. One by one, the horrifying death toll rises as Dallas police report on social media that it appears 2 snipers shot officers from elevated positions during the rally.
I heard the first shot, but like him, I didn't realize it was a shot. And the crowd, they were screaming and pandemonium.
According to a law enforcement source, at some point the shooter is hit by gunfire. Officers follow his blood trail. After 11, SWAT teams cornering Johnson in the parking garage, the negotiations stretching well past midnight, until officers have no other option but to send in an explosive device attached to a robot and to detonate it near the suspect. About 8 hours after the rally started, the standoff is over. The gunman dead. Police say at least 3 people were detained and questioned, but late today, Dallas's mayor said he believes Johnson was the lone gunman. Police say at least...
I can't believe what's going on.
Tonight, Lynn Mays is grateful he survived, and he credits a police officer with saving his life.
I just wanted to get out of there. And for a split second, it seemed like I wasn't going to be able to get out of there. That's how bad he was shooting.
Authorities say Johnson used a handgun and a rifle during the shooting. Now, late today, authorities said that there is no longer any suspects or persons of interest in custody. But Lester, this investigation is still ongoing. Many streets here in Dallas remain shut down, and they will remain that way until next Wednesday.
And we saw marchers here even just a little while ago, still looking to get in and get their belongings in their cars. But again, all this shut down.
Exactly.
Gabe Gutierrez, thank you.